Good morning, students of class 10. This is Vaibhav sir, and today we are going to start with our chapter first, that is force and movement of force. In this particular chapter, we'll cover two series. First series will cover the topic which are given below. Okay, let's see the topics which are given below. What are these topics? Okay, so the topics which we'll cover in this particular series will be first force and effect of force, okay, then motion and its types, then causes of rotational motion, types of movement and force and its effect, factors affecting movement of force, various common examples related to the movement of force, couple, condition of equilibrium, principle of movements, and we'll also cover some of the solved numericals. Okay class, so let's begin now. First topic which we'll cover over here will be forces and effect of force. So let's understand what is force. What is force? A force is that physical cause which changes or tends to change either the size and shape of the body or the state of rest or motion. So what is force? Force is a physical cause. It is a physical cause, and what does it do? It changes either the shape and size of the object or the state of rest or motion. Okay, so force causes two basic effects which are stated below. What are these effects? First, size of an object is changed, and the second, state of rest of or the motion of the body. That means if there is a small ball, let us consider there is a small ball and it is lying on a particular surface. Okay, now, if this ball changes its position with respect to time, let us consider it is not present over here, okay, and it just moved onto another surface, okay, it moved at another position, it has changed its position from A to B, okay. So what has happened? The ball has changed its position from one point to another. This can happen only when a force is acting on a body. That means some force has acted on a body. Okay. So this is first example when we can say that force is acted on a body. Next, what else happens when force acts on a body? Its shape and size changes. Let us take an example of a spring. If there is a spring and it compresses or elongates, a spring which compresses or elongates, what happened to that particular spring? Let us consider this is a spring. It can either compress together and or it can elongate. If it is compresses, that means a compressible force is acting on the particular body, and if it elongates, then what happens? That means that some amount of force is pulling it downwards. That means some amount of weight has been obtained on this particular body or this particular spring. So these are the basic effects. We have to understand what are the effects. What are the effects of forces? First is change in shape and size, and the second one is change in the state of rest or motion of a body. I hope you must have understood the causes or the effect of forces. What are two effects? First, size, change in size and shape, and the second, change in the state of rest or motion. Okay class, so let's move on to the next part of this particular chapter. Now here we have to understand motion. What is motion and its type? Okay, so first we will understand what is motion. When can we say that a body is moving? How can we say that a body is moving? So for that also we'll take a particular example, that let us consider a surface, and over here if I consider a block, okay, a block is being placed, a block is being placed. So at time is equals to t is equals to 0 seconds, okay, let's make it t is equals to 0. What happens after 2 seconds? after 2 seconds. If block changes its position, the blocks move from point A, it was initially at point A and it moved to point B. Okay, at t is equals to 2 seconds. T is equals to 2 seconds. So what happened? The block has moved from a particular position A, to particular position B, or it has changed its position. If I mark it, like if I draw a graph over here and I say this is 0 comma 0, okay, and this is 2 comma 0. So what has happened in this particular graph, that we can see that the object has changed its position from point A to point B, from 0 comma 0 to 2 comma 0. That is, there has been a change in position within 2 seconds. Now this change in position is known as motion. And also it happens with respect to the surrounding. Surrounding. We can understood this part also, that what is a surrounding. So for surrounding, let us consider you are sitting in a train. This is a train, small wheels, and you are sitting in this particular train. Okay. So there is a tree outside. And you are sitting in this particular train. Okay. You are sitting particular in this train, and the train is moving forward. At a particular speed. What will happen? After some times you will not be able to see this particular tree. This tree will vanish within few seconds. But what happened to a person who is sitting with you? Does that person also vanishes? No, he will not vanish. That person will not vanish from your sight. That is, the position of that particular person is not changing, whereas the position of the tree has changed. So in respect to the tree, you are in motion, whereas in respect to the person sitting with you, you are in rest. That means a motion can only be justified if your position changes. With respect to its surrounding, only then you are in motion. Similarly, in this case, what is happening when you are sitting in a wagon, your position is not changing with respect to time to your fellow passenger, whereas it is changing with respect to the tree. Hence, with respect to tree, you are in motion, whereas with respect to your fellow passengers, you are at rest. Okay, I hope you have understood the motion. So now let's come to the types of motion. Okay, now originally there are 3 types of motion, but in this particular year we'll only understand 2 types of motions. Okay, first is translatory motion. And second one is rotational motion. What is translatory motion? When an object travels in a straight line, as you can see over here, falling of an apple from the tree. When an apple falls from a tree, it moves in a straight line downwards towards the ground. So this is an example of translatory motion. Similarly, the movement of trains on a railway track, the movement of cars on a road, the movement of ants on a straight path, all this is stated as a translatory motion. In this particular motion, the object travels in a straight line. Okay, understood translatory motion? Any problem to anyone? If there is any problem, you can contact me anytime. Okay, now next is rotational motion. What is rotational motion? When we fixed a particular object in such a way that it rotates around a fixed point. Where is a fixed point in this particular figure? We can see that center point, this point is fixed. This is known as pivot point. pivot point. Okay, this pivot point is fixed at the center, and the object is rotating around it in a particular motion. It is moving like this. Okay, so when an object starts rotating around a fixed point, then that type of motion is known as rotational motion. That type of motion is known as rotational motion. So what is rotational motion? A motion around a fixed axis by a body. Okay, we have few examples over here. A spinning top. What is a spinning top? Lattu we call it in Hindi. Then movement of earth's rotation, any object moving in a circular track. These all are the examples of translational motion. Okay, so thank you class. We will continue after this in the next lecture.